Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this YouTube video, it's most likely because you are stuck across your trading career. You have these huge goals and these huge dreams, but at the end of the day, you keep falling short. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the most basic of strategies that will drastically increase your win rate and your risk to reward ratio. I want to start off by telling you where you suck. In trading, you most likely think that you lack discipline and psychology, but this is absolutely wrong. What you really lack is fundamental analysis. Now, most people don't talk about fundamental analysis because they don't even know what it is. Most people online who you are learning from decide to buy all these flashy watches, these flashy cars, and promote this lifestyle that they are millionaires in order for you to believe that they are successful traders. And it works. You guys end up buying their courses, feeding them all your money, and then at the end of the day, you wonder why you're not profitable. Now, I want to get into how can you actually increase your fundamental analysis. Now, it's important to note the two key ways of doing this. One is by finding out what news releases are actually coming up. You can just simply go to forexfactory.com and see what are the upcoming economical events that will impact the Forex market. And two is finding the actual recent data that has been released to help you formulate a bias. Now, this could be something as simple as just previous data releases that you see on Forex Factory, or it could be as advanced as listening to bank governor speeches or reading financial statements published by certain banks. I'm not just going to talk and show you examples. I'm going to show you proven results of how I was able to make $94,000 across 2 trades while I was on vacation in Colombia by simply using this strategy. All right, guys, so the pair I was focused on was GBP JPY. So once I knew the pair I wanted to trade, I just headed over to forexfactory.com and I was able to filter out these 2 pairs just by going over here and then selecting the red folder so that way I can understand I'm only looking at red folder news. Now, what I did from there was I actually went back 1 month so I can view the previous month's data of these 2 pairs. Now, what I'm starting to see here is that we are starting to pivot for the Great British Pound. So as you guys can see, the first thing we had was the official bank rate votes for them. And as you guys can see here, the first number is how many members voted to increase their rates. The second number is how many voted to decrease. And the third number is how many voted to hold rates. So you guys can see that a lot more people are voting to decrease rates. And if they're looking to decrease rates, it means that GBP JPY will be going down because that means their economy is getting better. So if their interest rates go down, their currency becomes cheaper to buy, making the GBP weaken in the market. Now, as I start to scroll, I can see more data to support this, such as CPI coming out lower than expected. And I can see retail sales coming out lower than expected. Now here I can see flash manufacturing coming out higher than expected, but I'm also trying to use everything within my scope to make a proper prediction. Now, this is the important part. The Japanese yen has been in a fucked situation. Their currency is way too devalued and they need to hike their rates or else their economy will completely shatter. So I already have in my mind that the JPY needs to find strength. So if JPY finds strength, then I'm going to see GBP JPY sells. So when I headed to the charts this day, I just wanted to identify a few things. And it was first, did we sweep Asia highs or lows, right? So as I can see over here, guys, price makes a very solid movement towards the downside and sweeps the liquidity resting over here, as you guys can see there. The next thing I wanted to do was point out an order block resting at the top of Asia highs and see one of 2 things. Are we going to sweep through that order block and sweep Asia highs, then continue higher up? Or are we going to continue with the fundamental analysis I have that GBP JPY is going to move down and also respect this order block? So as you guys can see, the price starts to play out and I can see, hey, this is being respected, but I don't want to take this too early because I understand that there's a lot of liquidity resting at the top of Asia session. So I have this big philosophy in trade. I'd rather be late and right than early and wrong. So I decided to let this trade actually play out and try to identify one way where I could make the most money on this. So here I can see we're starting to accumulate a lot of liquidity. So what I did was I drew a dynamic trend line over here and waited for price to clear this to give me a signal to hop in this trade. So you guys can see right away we get this huge drop. And I actually managed to miss this drop, but I saw we had this huge imbalance in the market, right? Because I could tell price just left this huge wick towards the downside. So I actually went down to my lower time frames and drew up my imbalance over here. I wanted to see this get played into and give me some sort of confirmation to hop in, right? So if I look for my 50% level across this, I can identify it as this right here, right? So you guys can see it's about 189.956. Well, all I wanted to see was some sort of rejection off of this level, showing me that this level is going to be held and be valid. Well, price actually comes comes up, starts to wick that level right there, and then I went down on my time frames to identify some sort of rejection. So what I noticed here is price started to stagger before we made our move towards the upside in this area here. So I wanted to see price break back into this level before hopping into anything. Because if price breaks back into the level that was supposed to push us up, there's no reason why it should push up again. If it was a strong level, it wouldn't be coming back to break into that level. So right here, I can see that price starts to close in there. I decided to hop into this trade because I could see that we just broke back into the area that pushed us towards the upside. And if price really was going to continue to move bullish against our fundamental analysis, there's no reason why it should ever come back into this area. So to me, I've already identified that this is a fake out. So I decided to hop into some shorts here. And because I've identified that this is a fake out, I tucked my stops just above that high right there. Now, since I have this huge fundamental analysis behind me, I actually went onto my higher time frame and drew out this dynamic liquidity resting over here and wanted to target the resting liquidity over here. Now I can see that I have liquidity of equal lows right here, and it's also resting at the bullish order block right there. So that to me is the most valid target. And if I set my take profit over there, it is just about a 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio. And now as you guys watch this trade play out, you're gonna see it just absolutely magnets towards take profit. So you guys can see price makes this big melt towards the downside, and I actually end up getting out of this trade for an $81,000 trade. Now, it's important to note that I don't care about anything that happens after this level. I've already caught my win. So once I caught my win, I decided to close my laptop and call it a day. Now, the next morning, I hop back on the charts. And as you guys can see, I noticed that price was really starting to slow down and almost create this double bottom pattern. But if it's creating a double bottom pattern, this means that price will be moving bullishly, which means that I have to go against my fundamental bias if I want to take this trade. Now, it's important to note that there are different releases every single day, and that we're not just going to see the markets tank in one direction because we have a fundamental bias. So we can actually identify ways to scalp our way back up, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys right here. So using that same philosophy of I'd rather be late and right than early and wrong played a big factor into this trade. I hopped down on my minute 15 time frame and noticed that price swept Asia lows and created this order block resting at the bottom. Then I saw price push out of this order block, and I wanted to see it break into an area where price staggered beforehand and then could continue to push us further up. So I ended up drawing a box around this zone here and knew that if price broke back into this area, I was going to hop in for buys. Now, it's important to note where we're going to get in and where we're going to get out. So for this trade, I already knew if price broke back into this area here, I'm seeing that these sellers are fake sellers and that we're really going to be moving bullish. But I also understand that I'm moving counter trends. So I just want to find a recent liquidity area that also couples as a rejection order block. So when I hopped on my chart, I saw this level over here where price started to stagger a little bit and then give us a big sell towards the downside. And I'm going to make this red just so it stands out. And even when I go on my minute 5, I can see this looks very clean for a rejection order block right here. I can see we had all this liquidity resting on the downside and the upside. And even if you use support and resistance, it kind of perfectly retests that area. This was also the fake out area from our previous trade. So our buyers got faked out from this move to continue with our fundamental bias. So if I'm going to be buying on this trade, I don't want to go against a move that was a confirmation to continue our fundamental analysis. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I let this play out on my minute 5. And as you guys can see, we get one rocket candle. And once we get this candle and we get this closure, I decide to hop in and tuck my stop loss right under this candle. And all I did from here was target the rejection order block resting right over here for a 1 to 2.75 risk to reward ratio. And you guys can see price pulls back a little bit and then absolutely rockets us towards the upside. And on this trade, I was able to make $13,000. I was on my way to the airport, so I really didn't want to be risking too much on this trade, but I was still able to secure an insane amount of profits. And just so everybody can understand that there's nothing to hide here, you guys can see my actual broker statements here where I was able to secure $40,400, $40,900, $5 because I actually entered a 0.01 lot at first, and then $13,000 for a total P&L of $94,000. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also stay tuned with the free Telegram and the free Discord, which we just absolutely revamped. I will see you guys there. Peace out.